Logan Paul just responded to George Janko's allegations and he's on top of the world again, right? Well, I guess we all know how this is going to end, right? Let's debunk this video, shall we?
I had to start my own show because we're not making money on the show and I'm getting pushed out.
You made money on the show.
I can show you my books. I was spending 10 G's a month being on the show.
All right, let's talk about this. Obviously, I wasn't on the podcast to represent myself, so I'd like to clarify a few things that were said. As well as having his own credit card, all expenses related to the show were paid for, including all travel and lodging. Obviously, George's total reimbursement came out to $20,000, 317 cents. I'd love to see any books that show otherwise. Spending $120,000 a year to be on a show is a little confusing.
But Logan, you don't get to buy a friend. In fact, he didn't say you didn't pay him. He said that in that specific time, when you mocked him about his beliefs, the show hit rock bottom and he wasn't making as much to cover his expenses. What's 5K for a show that brings in millions?
This is a guy who's sending us screenshots of $11 million a week that he's making.
This statement is so crazy that it's almost laughable. That would mean I'm making $572 million a year. I'm nowhere near that. What happened was Prime had a very successful month. I think we did like 60 to 70 million, and I sent it to our group chat because I was proud of the business. I was stoked to show the boys, and I think George maybe misinterpreted that as like my personal income.
Logan, it's still income. Don't try to get away from that. What are you trying to prove here? George didn't lie when he said you sent him screenshots of your income when he was struggling. You're just confirming that.
The show hit rock bottom and we weren't getting paid. I was getting paid $5,000 a month.
But you did make a sizable amount of money on the show.
And by the
What
way,
would you say,
always grateful. I was always grateful
like
for
that?
it. Yeah, I don't like to talk about money.
I know he doesn't want to talk money. I know he bleeped it out, but George made $317,000 in the 15 months that he got paid for on Impulsive. The work requirements consisted of about 3 days a month, 3 hours each day, traveling the world, networking, and meeting some of the coolest people ever. It comes out to about $2,300 per hour, and he also had 10% equity of the entire show.
Again, of course that's a dream job, but that's not out of the ordinary. Are you trying to disprove him just because you paid him with his worth? He was never ungrateful about being paid that amount. Stop trying to manipulate his words.
Not you, not Caleb, not Kevin, not Dylan. Nobody called me when I got fired.
George did not get fired. He quit. I'll touch on that in a second, but after he quit, I called him frequently.
He never said you didn't call him. He said you were the only one that called him. And what did you say when you called him? Well, you praised your fucking lapdog again.
I reached out. I wanted to reconcile the friendship. I invited him to my birthday party and WrestleMania and even my ranch a few weeks later. He chose not to come.
Logan, what the fuck would you expect? After what you did to him, I wouldn't even reply to you.
And then on my birthday, you guys shot 3 episodes so I couldn't show up.
The 2 episodes he's talking about, not 3, were shot 4 days after George's birthday. His birthday's on January 3rd. We shot those episodes on January 7th. We were already in Vegas signing the UFC to Prime, and as we do, want to capitalize on the location and our use of time and energy and the guests in that city. George didn't come to work because he wanted to spend time with his family for his belated birthday, which I totally understand and we even praised.
One of the things that I love about George, he prioritizes his family and friends over anything.
Well, this is a minor point, but I'll say this. Mike stated that there was so much tension at the time that there was no way of making it work with them. So that makes me think it was premeditated.
I got my show going, and then not only was I controlled and pushed around on Impulsive, but then Logan's making calls and directing my show. He told me that I couldn't take Celsius.
So this is the big one. Making calls, trying to make it seem like I wanted to control his show is absolutely ridiculous. As you can see right here, I was like, hey, we got to get you Prime because I saw him drinking our competitor, and he told me to call him. He was filming my reaction to tell me he took a deal with a competitor. I told him, please don't film, like I'd like to talk about this. I hope you're joking, by the way. The truth is, I thought it was a bad look that my best friend and co-host took a brand deal with our competitor without consulting me, asking me, giving us even a chance to match it before he signed the deal, because the audience that he's building, at least at the time, on his own podcast was being funneled directly from the podcast that I was building with him. I said, hey dude, I understand you need to make money. The entire text is right here that I sent him after our conversation, because I did understand his position if he needed to make money, but I thought it was also a little odd because he did make $317,000 in 15 months. Regardless, I did tell him I can't have him on Impulsive if he's going to take the deal with the competitor, but if after he makes the money he wants to come back to the podcast, he's more than welcome.
Oh, so you're confirming that he was telling the truth again. Okay, and then showing how much he made to disprove his point. Logan, I don't know what you're trying to do here, but for a guy that says he wanted to rebuild his friendship with George, you're not showing that. Oh, and what about telling him to make his rich father pay his bills? Oh, you're not going to address that? That's pretty convenient, ain't it?